good to see you guys. Parents can come up too. Feel free to stay here with your kids. I want to tell a story about two farmers because in today's story from the Bible, a writer named Isaiah told us that God makes a way where there is no way. So before we get started, I want you to think about a time, including you, Owen. I want you to think about a time when something was very hard in your life. Very sad, very mad. You couldn't do it. It's the math class that you hate so much, or the friend who doesn't like you anymore, or the parent you're mad at, or the grandparent you miss very much because they moved far away. Think about something very hard that just won't change no matter how much you pray about it. Now I want to tell you a story about how God works even when it looks like it's stuck and there's no way. So I want to tell you about a country, about a farmer in the country of Burkina Faso. Does anyone recognize that continent? It is Africa. Thank you very much. Africa, and that is the country called Burkina Faso, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it. In a very hot, dry part of Africa. So they have a hard time growing food, and it's getting harder and harder. And here's why. That's what the ground looks like in Burkina Faso. That's a close-up. See the dirt? Have you ever seen dirt that's so hard and dry that it cracks? Like skin cracks as it gets older? There are cracks all over it. And the problem is when dirt is that hard, it's not only hard to get the seeds in there, it's very hard for water to go into it. So we are very lucky to have rain today because we barely ever get to see it here. That's what it's like in Burkina Faso. And when it rains, the drops just go boop, boop, and bounce right off, and they can't go down into the dirt. That means the seeds don't get any water. And what happens if seeds don't get water? They can't grow. You need water, healthy dirt, and sunlight in order to grow. They got plenty of sunlight, but no water. Well, then, a brilliant farmer in Burkina Faso came up with an idea. They also have a lot of termites. Lots of termites in Burkina Faso. Now, we don't like termites because we have wooden houses, and termites are little itsy-bitsy bugs that like to eat wood. Have you heard of termites? Yeah, they're not good bugs to us. But they're very good bugs in Burkina Faso, and here's why. They dig down into the soil to find soil. Ooh, it works. Dig down into the soil and create all these little crevices while they're looking for food and in pieces of wood. And what happens is the water can follow right behind those termites and come down deep into the soil. And when water gets way deep down, like 5, 6, 7 feet down, it stays wet because the sun doesn't dry it and make it hard. So they planted crops, corn and a grain called sorghum. I don't know if you know sorghum, but corn and other grains, near nests of termites. And then they put pieces of wood in the dirt, and the termites said, yummy, 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 ate the wood, and then stayed down there and fertilized the soil, but also the water went down there and stayed. So whether it was raining or whether somebody came by with a watering can, they were able to do it. This is an ant. You all know what ants look like. I'm sure you've seen ants. Hopefully not on the kitchen counter. Those are ants. They did the same thing. So in places where they couldn't find termites, they just got some of the stuff that ants like, sugar, and they put it in the ground, and the ants said, yummy, 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 and did the same thing. So now there are all these deep places, and here is what happened. Everybody thought this farmer was crazy, but he said, nope, look at all these rich farm fields. So now they have rich farm fields all over Burkina Faso with corn and sorghum. Here are 3 women farming in Burkina Faso, and they have plenty of food to eat. So what happened was, everybody said, there's no way, we're starving, there's not enough water, what are we going to do? And this man said, we will find a way where there is no way. We'll take something so small, so common, so simple, like a termite or an ant, and we will dig down deep, and then all the rains that come from the heavens will feed it. So that's what God is saying. God is saying, I am like the rain that comes when you least expect it, and I find a way to get down into the hardest of your problems and fix that problem. I have another farmer story for you, but I don't have pictures for this one. So another famous farmer, one of my favorite farmers, is a man named Cesar Chavez. Some of you have heard of Cesar Chavez. Have you guys anybody heard of Cesar Chavez? Famous person, born in Arizona, but then he moved to California near where I lived when he was a young man. And he used to work in farm fields picking lettuce, grapes, peaches, nectarines, asparagus, spinach, you name it. You know, in our state, we grow lots of fruits and vegetables, right? But the problem is that the people who owned the fields were not paying very much to the farmers. To the people who pick the fruit. They're called pickers. And my dad was actually a picker in one of those fields. And so Cesar Chavez said, we need to do something. The people who are picking the food for the rest of us are starving. They don't have enough food to eat themselves, and they had to work when they were sick, and when they needed to go to the doctor, they weren't given any money from their bosses in order to go to the doctor. We call them medical benefits. So what he said is, we have to do something for these people. And I was watching the news with my dad, and Cesar Chavez was on the news. Now, I was 7 years old. 7. Who's 7? Anybody 7? It was Micah's age. A few 7-year-olds. And Cesar Chavez said, we're going to boycott grapes. I brought some grapes for you. Boycott grapes. And I said to my dad, what's a boycott? My dad said, that's when you stop buying something so that the person who sells those things stops doing the thing you want them to stop doing. So, at the dinner table that night, I said to my parents, we should boycott grapes. Now, there's something you need to know about me and grapes. They are my absolute favorite fruit. They were when I was a kid. They're so compact and small. I used to peel them with my teeth. See that? I can peel them with my teeth. You do that too? See? All the cool people peel grapes with their teeth. And then, what do you do after you peel it? Pop it in your mouth. You chew and you get that burst of sweet and tart at the same time. It is delicious. I love grapes. Do you love grapes? Oh, grape. Well, here you go. Have a grape. Anybody else want a grape? Go ahead, Neely. You can have a grape. There you go. Anybody else? Grape? Yes. Now, why would we give up something so delicious, so sweet and tart, peelable, doesn't smush in your lunchbox? Perfect. My parents were stunned, but they said, okay. And 1 year later, 1 year with no grapes, the owners of the winery said, okay, we will pay the workers more, we'll give them benefits, we'll take care of them. It worked. And what happened was all these people who said, there's no way, we're always going to get treated poorly, they're never going to give workers what we need, we're treated worse than other people, got what they needed. And why? Because a bunch of little 7-year-olds around the country and their parents said, we're not going to eat any more grapes. That's why. It was just a little itsy-bitsy thing like a little ant would do, but enough people did it, and it changed things. It changed a very, very hard thing into something much better. That is what God is like. So today, after the prayers of the people, you all have a stone, right? Did you all get a rock when you walked in? And we have 3 prayer stations, one here, one there, and one in that corner. And everybody's going to take a rock. And you're going to think about the hard thing in your life, the very hard thing in your life that just won't change, and you're so tired and you wish it would get better. And you're going to put it in there, and then, I should illustrate this. You're going to pour water in there, and in this bowl of rocks where nothing will grow, that water is going to work in between all those stones. And someday, it might take a little bit of time, God is going to break it up and make it better. Amen. Okay, you can go back to your seats now.